Alright, here we go. So there's this YouTuber called RafesEpicStuff. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, I've actually watched a few of this guy's videos, and well, I like some of them, like the Kung Fu Panda 4 one and the Grand Admiral Thrawn one. But recently, some of his videos are just very much not good, especially the Superman review, which is the one I'll be exposing, I guess. This is my kind of first expose video, so, trying something new, I guess. I actually got inspiration to do this by this YouTuber right here, who responded to his We're in the Indie Animation Dark Ages, so go watch that video. And, yeah, I'm going to be skipping the intro he has, since I mainly just want to focus on the criticisms he has for the movie, so I'll skip around on some parts of the video and stuff.
The Justice Gang starts killing the monster pretty violently, literally stabbing its eyes, and Superman just watches going, no, stop. I mean, they could have focused more on Superman drawing fights away into empty areas, but they can't.
Superman cannot control the Justice Gang. They are all heroes but save the day differently. Superman can't tell them how they're going to help defeat a threat. Not to mention, Superman is busy saving people in the kaiju fight because of how the Justice Gang act.
That she breaks into Superman's Kryptonian crystal computer and steals a video of Jor-El telling Clark to be a good person. The way this is written, you would think that this was Lex's plan, but no, he is making all of this up.
Lex's plan is to make Superman look bad in the eyes of the public. Where could he possibly get dirt on him? The Fortress of Solitude.
I really hate whenever the villain is written so that they just know everything. Lex Luthor in this movie somehow developed insane technology like a cyborg person that can literally do anything, interdimensional travel, and a vast array of metahumans.
Those all show how smart and dangerous he can be. Also, he didn't make any metahumans. I don't count the engineer, and I also don't count Ultraman. And Lex didn't create Metamorpho.
Yet instead of using this stuff to just kill Superman, he has this brilliant idea to suddenly release the Jor-El video, in which Jor-El says that Superman should protect humanity. But then suddenly, the audio changes, and Jor-El says that Superman should rule with an iron fist, kill anyone that opposes him, and create a harem of women to spread his seed. So upon hearing this, I thought, so Lex's plan is to edit the recording to make Superman look like the villain. But isn't this kind of insane? Known Superman hater Lex Luthor found Superman's house in the middle of nowhere and also found a video with two human-looking people slandering Superman. Nobody would believe this. This would never work. It works.
It isn't known that he hates Superman. He lets the government know of the Fortress of Solitude, so they would know that it is real and would help Lex get on their side, something he wants so he can hold Superman in custody. Oh yeah. Who's gonna believe that the two humans who speak an alien language and are from a recording Superman has are his parents? After all, it's not like he's been open about his past, except he has been.
Superman is the goodest person that has ever existed. Why would he be evil? You think he's been evil in secret? He's Superman. If he wanted to take over the world, he would have done so already.
Superman is relatively new. He's only been around for 3 years. People could very well still be suspicious of him. Do people turn on him a little quickly? I mean, sure, that's a criticism you can have, but as Rafe said, he's literally the strongest superhero on Earth. People would be threatened by that. Also, it doesn't help that he threatens Lex not so later on about him taking crypto. That appears on the news and also helps sour how people look at him.
Truth. Jor-El is supposed to represent the best of Krypton. He tried to save Krypton from destruction and made his last act to save his one and only son in the hopes that Kal-El can live a normal life far from the politics and conflicts of outer space. The last thing he says to Clark is that he should protect humanity while also not disrupting him, because he ultimately believed in humanity's infinite potential to do good.
This is a different adaptation. He's good in the Christopher Reeves one? Okay, this is not the Christopher Reeves one. This is a different movie and has a different look at Jor-El, and that makes him look like a megalomaniac.
In the Christopher Reeve movie, the conflict is that Clark has to decide whether to listen to Jor-El, who discouraged him from using his powers, or to listen to Pa Kent and use his powers to become a hero. By making Jor-El into a supervillain, it removes any interesting discussions that can be derived from that choice. Now the most complicated question Superman needs to ask is, should I be good? Should I be evil?
No, not really. Superman was supposed to come to Earth to conquer it by being raised by an Earth family and loving humanity. He defies what his father wants because of his family. It's very disingenuous to view this so simply as should I be good or evil.
On top of that, Jor-El being evil doesn't sound right. By the end of the movie, Superman is all, screw you, Dad! Martha and Jonathan are my real parents. But the thing is, Jor-El is the reason you're alive. Every good thing that Superman did ultimately happens because Jor-El chose to send Superman to Earth to protect humanity. Disowning him feels kind of wrong.
Literally, no. Back to my last response, that was all the Kent family. Jor-El definitely didn't want Kal to help humanity.
Lex Luthor will be handling his imprisonment. Superman hears this and is like, okay, Raggy. Then Lex Luthor pulls Metamorpho out of his ass and has him turn into kryptonite to disable Superman. This happens a lot in this universe. Powerful people just appear and it's no big deal. I don't know if I want a DC universe where Lex Luthor can just go, hey, Superman, I got this robot from Alibaba that can copy your powers and can also destroy the universe. Take this!
This is very much a comic book movie. That doesn't work for some people, and that's fine. But like, all these characters are from the comics. Not to mention, Metamorpho does have a reason to exist. Kryptonite is no longer on Earth. What's the only way Lex can get it? A metahuman who can make any material possible.
Superman is immediately trapped and Lex plays this idiotic game of Russian roulette with the falafel guy to get Superman to say that he's the bad guy, but then the gun fires almost immediately and kills him. Why did Lex do that? Why not torture the falafel guy instead? If Lex really wants a confession from Superman, why not just torture random people? Or use the cyborg lady to dock Superman? Or why not just kill Superman?
He was going to do that. He wanted to bring multiple people in and kill them to torture Superman. Lex didn't care about torture, for that would only be a specific time. But if he killed them, well, that's permanent, and hits Superman harder. Not to mention, the guy's death makes Metamorpho turn on Lex. So would torture. Both actions would have caused the same result. Also, why dock Superman? Who would even bother going to the fortress? If you're talking about his identity, Lex doesn't know it. Also, he doesn't want Superman dead. He literally said that he needed to get information from the government, so why would he kill him?
Escapes because Metamorpho feels bad for him, and it's so lame. I said this in my Grand Admiral Thrawn video, but having the bad guy's minions betray the villain shows incompetence on the villain. Lex should know the danger of having someone like Metamorpho work for him. He should be ready for... Wait, no, he was ready. He had a guy that would kill Metamorpho's son if he betrayed him. Did he just forget about that?
Hey, so that Star Wars clip, that guy doesn't betray Thrawn. He doesn't listen to an order he gives him, and that's what gets the minion killed. Also, Metamorpho isn't his minion. He doesn't work for Lex. Lex has him there against his will. As for the baby not getting killed, I actually somewhat agree, but it's not impossible to think that Lex needed to give an order. He was nowhere around them when that scene happened. Not to mention, I doubt if Metamorpho just stops, they'll do it instantly. They have to know that he's betraying them. The guard wasn't sure, probably, what Metamorpho was doing, and when he was, well, he was blinded by the sun, and it was too late.
This isn't the Superman that can beat Goku. This is the Superman that bleeds if you punch him too hard. Having Superman do all of this impossible stuff just completely breaks the stakes of this movie. I can't understand what Superman can or can't do, or if he's indestructible or not.
You just said that he can't beat Goku and that he bleeds too easily, but then you're saying you can't tell if he's indestructible or not. Make up your mind.
It's really annoying that this movie already doesn't care about maintaining some kind of power scale. Metamorpho and the Engineer are characters whose powers are to create whatever they want. And the Engineer was created scientifically, which means they can be recreated. So why doesn't Lex just make more Latinas?
We don't know that. We don't know if you can just create them so easily. We don't know how long the Engineer has been around for, or if there's anything special that is required. Do you have to have specific blood? How strong do you have to be? Hell, the Engineer exists, but that doesn't mean more people want their body to be fully nanotechnology.
Why doesn't he make another Ultraman? Oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once Superman escapes the pocket dimension, Lex says, okay, in order to distract Superman from stopping my man-made war, I'm going to create a universal rift that will destroy the planet. And this is where I realized that this character is a joke. Lex Luthor isn't going to risk destroying the planet. He lives in the planet. And why are all of these people agreeing with him?
This is meant to show how deluded he can be. Not everyone agrees with him. One dude tries to stop it, but Lex stops him. It is also clear that his crew have some sort of cultist love for him. Lex literally gives one of them a back rub in the beginning of the movie. Clearly, he united them all together because they hate Superman.
Lex just has a legion of people that are committing these heinous crimes, and we never learn anything from them. Wouldn't that have been interesting to see? To have Lex Luthor slowly gather this task force over a series of movies with named characters we learn about?
Why? What would be the point? This is like asking for all the crew on the Death Star to be characterized. It isn't needed. They work for Lex and hate Superman. That's so hard to understand.
This movie is weirdly disinterested in developing any of its characters. We're already at the end of the movie and I'm not really familiar with anyone. I mean, I guess Lois Lane is fine and Jimmy Olsen is better than he was before. The Justice Gang are all okay characters. I mean, it's not like any of them are particularly bad. I just kind of wish they did more.
So this is the first movie of a film franchise, and you already want to know everything about every character. We learn Superman's ideology, the people of the Daily Planet, and how they work together. Guy Gardner is a dick, Metamorpho has a son and wife, and clearly just wants to do good. Mr. Terrific, well, he's fantastic. And the only character I think could have been better was Hawkgirl. It's weird because he says the characters aren't great, but then he's like, I mean, they're alright, they aren't terrible. So I guess then the characters were fine then?
Speaking of which, Pa and Ma Kent are fine in this movie. They do their job at giving good morals to Superman and inspiring him to be better, but I don't like how little they actually matter to the plot of this movie. Like I said before, Jonathan Kent is supposed to be very important for Superman's growth, so having him do so little then give a heart-to-heart to Clark just feels very shallow. It's not like any of the things he's saying are bad, just like everything, I wish we had more.
Not too bad of criticism here, but I do think he undermines how important they are to the story. Without the Kent, Superman would have been a warmongering planet dictator. But not the worst criticism in the video.
All the fights in this movie are really bad. The camera is always way too close to the characters. There's this corridor crew where they talk about why Pacific Rim Uprising looks bad compared to the first one, and it kind of reminds me of that. The camera just moves way too fast to let anything have any real weight. And the choreography is also just really lame. You're basically watching video game characters slamming into each other without any creative use of their powers.
Everything he says here is subjective, and I find it funny that throughout his entire fight criticism, the only footage shown is the first fight. The corridor clip talks about why the Pacific Rim 2 fights are bad. They feel weightless. And I don't think that encapsulates the fight scenes. The kaiju feels heavy, Superman throws people around like ragdolls, as he should. I also don't get his criticism of the camera being too close. In the fight with Lois Lane and Mr. Terrific, the camera the entire time is in the bubble with Lois because it's from her POV. Once again, this is all subjective.
The amount of times they forget about Superman's super hearing, X-ray vision, or heat vision feels really disappointing, considering that this is supposed to be written by somebody that cares.
Literally gives 0 examples of this. So you know what I did? I bought Superman on Prime and watched it with those 3 powers in mind, and I only found 2 scenes to be a problem. You should have heard when the engineer says the alien is on its way back, and when Superman gets jumped by raptors in the Pocket Universe. And that goes for any time he gets jumped, by the way. But other than that, nothing stood out.
And the music is so forgettable. They butcher the John Williams theme like they did in the trailers, and they also didn't write an original theme for this movie. Even Man of Steel had really strong music and fight choreography to show the magnitude of 2 indestructible people fighting each other. They blow through buildings, they go through space, Zod throws a satellite which breaks into fragments, and then the fragments fall down to Metropolis, killing millions of people. But here the most impressive thing Superman does is fly really high and then fly really fast down into the ground.
The music is subjective, and saying there is not really any good choreography is also subjective. Superman uses a water tower at one point and also a metal pole to hit Ultraman. He breaks Ultraman's fingers, uppercuts the kaiju. Way more interesting things than just punching. And even then, the punching feels like a god punching things.
Nothing really interesting happens until the reveal that Ultraman was actually Bizarro all along. This breaks everything about Lex Luthor. All of his plans become redundant because now I'm thinking about the fact that he didn't create an army of evil Superman. Why not have evil Superman do bad things pretending to be Superman? Why not kill Superman when he was in the pocket dimension and then have Bizarro pretend to be Superman?
Once again, Superman has only been around for 3 years. In that time, Lex had to make thousands of fight moves for him, make sure he had enough DNA to replicate him. He had to find hair strands from his fights to do that, by the way. And then he had to incorporate Ultraman into his plan. Honestly, it's impressive that he did all that in 3 years. That's if he started hating Superman day 1. If Ultraman pretends to be Superman when Superman is still alive, that wouldn't work at all. Same with Ultraman replacing him in the Pocket Universe. Mr. Terrific would know something is up, since his nanobots wouldn't be in the clone's bloodstream. Not to mention, if the attack on Johornpur happened, many people would be suspicious that Superman didn't come to help. One way or another, it'd be found that the clone cannot be Superman.
You really do need to have a certain diligence when it comes to writing a smart character like this. Lex Luthor in this movie has no restraint. He's too powerful to lose. He has no foresight, even though he's supposed to predict Superman's every move. And he has no real motivation.
I'm getting really fed up with him explaining nothing. Lex has no motivation. He does if you watch the movie. He hates Superman for being an alien loved by the public. Basically, for simplicity reasons, he is jealous of Superman. That is very simplified, though. Also, he is too powerful to lose, but also has no foresight. Well, not only does he lose, but he also has the foresight to encounter Superman with thousands of fight inputs.
It's not like Lex Luthor is complicated. He literally just hates Superman because he gets in his way. Lex is supposed to be the untouchable billionaire that always gets what he wants, which is why we need Superman to be able to stop him. You didn't have to make him into a pathetic hater boy. You just need to show Lex Luthor getting more and more frustrated as Superman keeps outwitting him.
That is so very, very wrong. Lex doesn't hate Clark because he gets in his way. Lex literally feels inferior to him. He has a superiority complex against Superman. Also, Superman does keep outwitting him. He escaped his Pocket universe, he stops his planet Baravia invading Jarhanpur, he stops the rift in the city. Also, you say Lex just has to hate Superman, but when he does, you call it cringe.
Key to Lex Luthor lies in his versatility. He's a villain that can perform effectively given basically any situation. He's got mountains of red tape, legal work, and financial resources, which is why he simply can't be defeated by strength. Writers need to come up with clever ways to beat him. I think the laziest way to defeat a villain like Lex Luthor is to say that he's overconfident.
That's not how he gets beaten. The Daily Planet exposes his schemes, and that's what allows for the world to see him as evil. If you're referring to Ultraman and the Engineer being beaten, then guess what? Those people weren't Lex Luthor.
In the cartoon, Superman never saw Bizarro as an enemy. Like the other monsters, he saw him as a victim of Lex, who was manipulated into doing horrible things. Even when he dealt with Bizarro, he always treated him with dignity because he understood that it wasn't really Bizarro's fault that he was hurting others. And eventually, to make him feel better, he led him into his own planet where he could live with his alien dog without putting others in danger. Superman would never kill his enemies because he believes in saving lives so much that he will even save them. Here though, Superman throws him into a black hole.
So Rafe makes a mistake here. He thinks Ultraman from the movie is Bizarro, but both characters are different. Ultraman is an evil version of Superman, and Bizarro is a clown. Now the movie mixes them both together, but in the movie, it's Ultraman, not Bizarro. Now, do I think it was bad for Superman to do what he did? No, not really. You gotta understand, Ultraman was basically a comatose patient. He spoke one time in the film, and that's when he was literally scripted by Lex to talk. When he finds that one chick in the closet, it's not even him who confronts her, it's Lex. Not to mention, it's a clone of Superman himself. So, some people think Ultraman will reappear and then become Bizarro. Will that wash away any criticism for this moment? No, because Clark didn't know that would happen, but nonetheless, it's possible. I do think that if you're fine with Zod's death and not Ultraman's, I think that's pretty hypocritical.
I guess he also threw those people into a black hole in the anti-proton river. Oh, and he also tortured a political leader by throwing him into a cactus, and then the Justice Gang murdered him.
That is never shown. Superman blasts the guys away from the black hole, actually. Also, Rafe kindly leaves out that the political leader Superman places on a cactus and that Hawkgirl kills was a dictator who wanted to invade another country and quite literally says, "We will not rest until the blood of every Jarhanpurian floods our streets."
And every time I hear people say this movie understands Superman, not like Man of Steel, I'm like, does it really? Yeah, sure, this Superman saves people, but it always feels token and performative. They'll show Superman saving civilians and stuff, but people are kind of dying left and right from collapsing buildings. But then every time an action scene happens, the movie will be like, don't worry, there was no casualties. Those buildings? Nah, they're all empty.
How does it feel token for Superman to save people? Also, yeah, those buildings were empty because the city was evacuated. You can be upset all you want that they evacuated too quickly, but the movie shows you it pretty clearly, so don't be mad that the buildings they showed were being evacuated are empty.
Which leads right into Superman's big speech. He flies onto Lex's ship, and then Lex starts crying because he's pathetic, and then says, "You suck because you're an alien." And Superman says, "Yeah, I suck, but that's because I'm human. And because I'm human, I make mistakes." What? Of course Superman shouldn't be perfect. But he shouldn't define himself by his flaws. Because even though you'd have to be dreaming to think you could ever be like Superman, he wants people to have that dream.
That's what the movie is saying. It isn't saying that it's okay to have mistakes, though that'd be okay, but that no matter how hard life gets, you need to put one foot in front of the other and march forward. Literally the opposite of what you claim happens. And Superman doesn't define himself by his mistakes. He says that that's what makes him human, and that's his greatest strength.
This Superman is a failure. He lost his battle against Ultraman twice. He failed to prevent the Justice Gang from killing the kaiju. He got captured by Lex Luthor and had his Fortress of Solitude destroyed. If it wasn't for the whims of other characters, he probably would have died already. That's not humility, that's stupidity. It's overly emotional and not emotionally mature. Just because a story features a good guy triumphing over evil doesn't really make it meaningful, at least in my opinion. My favorite stories are those where the hero is pushed into a state of absolute collapse where they are forced to reevaluate everything they knew
First of all, twice? When was the second time? When he turns himself in? Oh, it's when he calls Crypto in to help, isn't it? Except he still beats Ultraman by himself. He can't control what the Justice Gang can and can't do. That'd be unnecessary conflict. He turned himself in, and also the fortress gets rebuilt. And he wasn't there to defend it. He was busy with the kaiju. He saves himself and several others from a black hole. He beats Ultraman and the engineer in a fight with minimal help from Crypto. It's stated that in 3 years he's being Superman. In the first 3 years he was Superman, the first fight he lost was a fucking clone of himself. Also, Superman does have to reevaluate what he knew because he was sent to Earth to have a harem of women and rule over them. But despite that, he happens to be more human than Lex Luthor could ever be. This guy had the world turn on him in a day, but he still decided that no matter what people think of him, he still needs to stop evil people like Lex Luthor from ruining the world.
World building level, this universe is already broken. The technology is already so overpowered with what LexCorp can casually create. The power levels are literally at characters that can do whatever they want with universe breaking abilities. The politics are ruined with the war crimes the Justice Gang and Superman commit.
Firstly, have you thought about how you might just be a little media illiterate? Secondly, it's going to be a movie franchise. That is meant to be very comic book. If you can't get into it, then fine. That's what it'll be like. Thirdly, LexCorp is a billion-dollar company. If you're confused about the powers of any heroes or villains, look at what Prime Video says about them and their powers. I took a look, and forgive me if I sound rude, but if you think any of these are universe-breaking, then you're just plain dumb. I'm sorry, but if you think the politics are ruined because Superman placed the dictator on a cactus and then Hawkgirl killed him, then you must have missed when the guy states to Rick Flag Sr., many humans make the rules now. That clearly sets up some sort of political environment.
You know, the reason the MCU worked is because it was grounded in reality. It started with low-level technology that slowly escalated into the crazy comic book alien stuff. But James Gunn DCU is too fantastical and too cartoonish. In this universe, I can't imagine anything like the Sokovia Accords existing because of how insane everything already is.
Can I ask why he's fine with Tony's nanotechnology but not the engineers? Probably not. He'll bark around it. Also, if you don't think the Sokovia Accords could exist, then you missed the newspaper saying that pocket universes violate the Geneva Conventions.
When I see that this movie is this committed to making so little sense, it disappoints me because I realize that we're never gonna get moments as good as Cap versus Iron Man, the Vulture reveal, or the entirety of Infinity War.
You're comparing movies that have had years of building up their stories so they'd make sense to the start of a franchise. Also, Vulture reveal on the same level as Cap vs. Iron Man in the entirety of Infinity War? Weird, but okay. I'd think you'd like the Ultraman reveal based off of that, but I guess not.
The only way this cinematic universe can really flourish moving forward would be if they ignored the events of this movie.
Explain, Rafe. I beg you. Why do they need to never mention Superman again? Please, for once in this messy video, explain your reasoning. No? Okay
It's
then.
frustrating because the reactions people have from this movie have been to try to shun any form of criticism. But why? When people hate a movie like this, it isn't because they like hating things. I really wanted to like this movie, but I don't want to ignore all of the problems and act like it's good. I want these movies to be better, and that's not gonna happen if we keep defending James Gunn. How many times do we have to hear another creative complaining about how people don't like his stuff? If people don't like what you're making, it's because you're making bad movies. You had all of
Okay, now this will be a long response. First of all, there are people who won't allow criticism of their precious movie. Yeah, those people exist for every movie out there. However, when Rafe is just like any criticism towards this movie gets shut down, I roll my eyes. I've agreed with some things he said, so don't even call me a defender of this movie. I may think it's great, but if there is valid criticism for it, then I'll hear it out. Rafe had provided very little of that, and I'll be honest, comments on his were in the indie animation dark ages, and comments from this video just say that anyone who doesn't like his video can't take criticism. It sounds like Rafe is beginning to build a very toxic fan base of people who agree with him no matter what, and I think he's leaning into it. You're shunning away any criticism. He's trying to make himself seem so high and mighty by calling out things that he knows people will criticize him for. And then his fan base will turn that criticism into they can't take criticism of their product. I didn't make this video because Rafe hates Superman. I made it because if I was ever to make an expose video, it'd be for someone who doesn't understand something like Superman. Rafe, please do not have this be your fan base. Don't shun away criticism. You criticize this movie because you want the future of DC to be bright. Well, I want your channel to thrive. But continue making videos like this, and it won't happen.
That's all I got for this video. Goodbye!
And that's all I have from my video. If there's anything that should be clarified or that I just messed up on, tell me in the comments or something. I probably won't make another expose video, or this was more of a response video than expose. I don't know why I called it an expose video at the beginning, but it's more of a response. But I'll probably never make one of these again. I don't really, I'm not the type of person to make response videos. I just thought this one video someone made was so bad I needed to respond to it. But yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.